Got Richie McCormack live on the line from Tbilisi. Richie McCormack, come on in.
Hi, morning, lads. How are you?
Good. How's Tbilisi?
Interesting. Going to put it that way. The cab ride in from the airport, it was probably the first time I've ever seen a gun shop, which was interesting. And I went to look it up and see if it was, kosher and on the level. Just did a quick search of Tbilisi gun shops, and right enough, they've got a Google listing. They got a rating as well. So if you're looking for a gun in Tbilisi, seems like the Winchester is the place to go.
Right. Well, I shall bear that in mind. I was in Tbilisi for the Aidan McGeady qualifier, I think we can call it, a couple of years ago, where we thought this was the rebirth of Aidan McGeady. He
first game, wasn't it?
Yeah. Scored, I'm going to say it's the winner. Was it 1-0? I'm very sketchy on the details.
Was I playing?
I mean, if I'm so sketchy, I can't remember the result.
I think we played him the year they were banned from playing in Georgia, maybe.
All right. Anyway, an interesting enough spot. Can be a sticky enough spot. Denmark, I found out recently.
Yeah, a draw for Denmark just a month ago, and that's the kind of worry, I guess, from the Republic of Ireland's point of view, is that they'll come here, play tomorrow night, and kind of get stuck in the mud a little bit against what can be a really tricky side. I mean, they've had not a brilliant 2019, but you look through their results and it's that draw with Denmark that sticks out, and obviously the win against Gibraltar. They can cause teams a lot of hassle over here.
Yeah, some conversation. Mick McCarthy has plenty of reports in the papers this morning as well about the potential inclusion of Aaron Connolly. He's saying he will.
He's saying he'll play some part. I was watching the FAI TV interview with Mick this morning, and he's asking whether or not he'd be involved directly, and he says he probably will be. He's been impressed with how he's settled into the squad so far. He's been impressed with his personality. He's not afraid to put himself about. There's a cockiness, a good kind of cockiness about him that I guess is somewhat redolent of a young striker by the name of Orr Keane that we may have seen some 20 years ago. Whether or not he'll start, I don't think so. I think McCarthy's not a populist. He's not somebody who will have brought somebody in from, not necessarily the club, but from the under-21s just a few days ago and dive them straight into action. More than likely, he'll go for like, seeing as David McGoldrick can't play, we'll probably see someone like James Collins starting up front. But the prospect of seeing Connolly playing up front would be a very exciting one. My worry is that we have a tendency with strikers to leave them isolated. We've seen it in the past with David McGoldrick. He's left to plough his own furrow up front. Shane Long has had that job plenty of times before as well. I'm not entirely sure whether Aaron Connolly will be suited to having to play that kind of game, and it's a one, especially away from home, that he might have to be thrown into.
Yeah, I think he'll go, Richie, with Collins. I know he's impressed with him the last day. He's a physical centre forward. We'd all love to see Connolly go straight in. Would I play him? I probably would, actually.
Would you, from the start?
Yeah, from the start. Having watched him the last 18 months come through the ranks, play at different levels. Again, he's another one that doesn't really care what environment he's in. He'd really have no fear. The only thing I would say, if he doesn't play at Georgia, he might be more suited to playing a more Premier League based team in Switzerland, so maybe that could be the case for him. If he plays, there's no fear. He's very eccentric off the pitch, I think, the way he is. He goes about himself, so he's very much his own person and will do well if he's going to play.
What sort of a player is he? Somebody we've obviously seen sketches of him, and he's obviously appearing more and more.
Yeah, everyone is mentioning, Richie mentioned Robbie there. I think he's more of a, dare I say, a team player in terms of he'll run around, he'll get in people's faces, he'll wind people up. He's a bit of a young Rooney type in terms of a little bulldog around the place. Will be in people's faces, will be on the edge again of being sent off a little bit. But I don't really care, if I'm honest with you, once he controls it. And it's very exciting.
Would he be suited, Stephen, to play in that one-up role? Because it's a one that McCarthy's obviously fond of. I don't know if Connolly necessarily would suit that.
Yeah, I think if I'm honest, I think Ireland will be more direct against Georgia to get the win. I think Switzerland will be more of a footballing game, and Connolly might be more suited then to play that because he's used to playing 23s and Premier League football now. So I look forward to seeing him play at some stage.
What else of obviously the potential inclusion of Shane Duffy is the other one, Richie? We thought we were in a defensive crisis there a few weeks back, but turns out everything might be all right.
Everything's grand. McCarthy has spoken in really relaxed terms, I guess, in how the Duffy situation has been approached. He was of the opinion, I think, going into this, that he would probably be fine. He's now trained fully with the Brighton squad, and McCarthy says that's enough of an okay from him to throw him in. So we're going to see Shane Duffy, no doubt, from the start, and probably in both games as well. I don't think McCarthy has any qualms about playing him in both. He mentioned previously as well, McCarthy, that Duffy had come into the squad off the back of another calf problem, I think it was, or sorry, groin problem, and was absolutely fine. Played the back-to-back qualifiers last time out as well, and there's no issue with him. He's a hardy buck, I guess you'd say, about Shane Duffy. He's somebody who's pretty durable and will be able to cope with whatever's thrown at him tomorrow night here in Tbilisi.
He's so important in both boxes, especially in mixed teams, when they concentrate on set pieces quite a lot defensively and attacking. So he'll come alive. I think Long and Egan obviously will be disappointed because they had a decent partnership in the last game as well. So I think Mick is so good at the next person coming in. I'm very happy with him. So he manages Egan, he'll manage Long to an extent where they'll feel like they're ready. The manager's happy to have him in the team, no matter even if Duffy is missing. So he's good at that.
Yeah. Obviously, a mad couple of days of sport for us. We have to sort of globe trot around the place. Richie, as evidence has been from the various conversations we've been having around the globe this morning. Many green jerseys around?
Do you know what? Not that many. I had a little bit of a ramble last night after I got in. The plane wasn't exactly festooned with them. There was actually more Belgians and Dutch heading over for whatever reason. We were coming in from Brussels yesterday, heading to Georgia for yesterday. The Irish jerseys, there's a few. There's one. Shane Coleman was on my flight as well from Newstop Breakfast. He was giving out yards about the plane. He's used to more luxurious kind of jet set lifestyle.
He wasn't turning left when he got on like you, Richie, was he?
No. He was. He was giving out yards about the plane, but I think most other people found it fine. But no, I think the influx of Irish jerseys will probably come today, if I'm being honest. There haven't been too many around, and if we are going to see a big mass drop of fans, I'm guessing today is going to be the day for that. No doubt they'll probably be travelling in numbers as well. Coming in via Brussels yesterday, had this weird mishmash of fans in Brussels airport, because it was ourselves, obviously. There was the Northern Irish fans who were heading to Rotterdam last night, and then there was a couple of stray Scots knocking around too. So there's a real League of Nations suddenly descended on Brussels yesterday. Mad fond of their chips over there, by the way. There's kind of monuments to how much they love chips just knocking around Brussels airport. Posters on backs of doors, giant cones of chips knocking around the place. So I'm looking for something similar around here, that kind of national cuisine to be, I suppose, captured in some way in some kind of street art.
Rich, we used to love going for our annual coffee when we arrive in a new country. It must have been like, we always get to the hotel, right, where can we go for the coffee? Where can we have a look? People watching. I said it before. It's great. Coffee any good?
It is. It's. I haven't had the coffee just yet. I'm gonna have to drink gallons of it today to keep myself going. But there's it's a weird mishmash of kind of east and west over here. I guess it kind of would be.
You're nearly in Azerbaijan, Richie.
That's the thing. You kind of don't factor in how far away this place is until you actually bloody well have to go to it. Where you come in when you're flying in, it's a very old school Eastern European kind of countries. Like, all their industry is all kind of petrochemical kind of stuff. You see like the towers and the smokestacks and all that kind of stuff off in the distance. Very kind of brown terrain. And then you drive into this really, really massive city. As far as I know, this is I think it was the second or third biggest city in the Soviet Union. The second or third most important anyway. And you kind of get a sense of that just with the scale of it. You come in and there's massive new buildings everywhere. Like the architecture is just over the top. There's a building came in, I don't know what it was. It's kind of almost shaped like mushrooms, like a kind of a gathering garden mushrooms built up and up and up, but huge. And then you have obviously the old apartment blocks, the old shops, yada, yada, yada. And then next to you have this massive Holiday Inn that we're in. And next to that, you've got a Wendy's and a Dunkin' Donuts. And then across the road, you've got another place that's just regular Georgian cuisine and Georgian food and all that. And the locals hang out there. So it's this weird kind of smashing together of two or possibly even three different cultures. It's mad.
Stay away from the hummus is the only advice I have for you.
Really?
Phil Egan went out for a bite to eat when we were there at that time. We were chatting about earlier. And I ordered hummus. I'm still not sure 100% what it was. I know there was too much of it, and it was manky.
I keep getting recommended. There's this, I can't remember the name of it. There's this massive, almost like a flatbread thing in an oval shape that seems to have an egg and some other stuff in the middle of it that is apparently the local delicacy. So I have to give that a go somewhere. But yeah, it's definitely, I'd say interesting is probably the word I'd use most when I'm here.
Yeah, I can definitely get on board with a bit of flatbread. What's your prediction for tomorrow?
I wanted to be hopeful. I wanted to say a 2-0, but I don't know, that result for Denmark here a month ago has really put me off. And the fact that it will probably be James Collins ploughing that furrow on his own up front. We need a lot of support from midfield. I know this will probably be a bugbear of Hunty's as well, as that when we do have that one person playing up front, you need the likes of Harahan and Hendrick, if there happens to be the two behind, to actually provide a lot of support coming from midfield. Otherwise, you're just going to have that massive gap and nothing to kind of come from it. I want to say 2-0. My heart, I'm probably going to win a 1-1 draw though.
Try and play the game in their half. They're Georgia, let's be honest, but they're not Barcelona. So try and play in their half. They'll make mistakes. Try and squeeze the pitch and try and get the win.
Richie, we'll be catching up with you over the next little while. Enjoy the hummus.
Cheers, gents. Nice one.